more scrambling.
No more stealing your charger, more to the point.
Oh, I didn't know about that. So you should have told me that a few weeks ago, perhaps, when I was looking for one.
Marcus Carlson, let's leave it there before we further incriminate ourselves. Marcus Carlson there with all the business. Time now to turn our attention to all things media. Media Watch, James Creedon is here. James, starting with what many are calling a huge gaffe by the Justice Minister, Christian Taubira, over the whole Sarko Leaks scandal. Tell us more.
That's right. This one has been running since yesterday afternoon. A lot of reaction to this. Le Monde newspaper's journalists zoomed on two documents that she held up at a press conference yesterday afternoon. So she was holding up these documents saying, look, here is the proof that I was not aware of the Sarko Leaks wiretap. Now, just to provide some context text there, she's the Justice Minister. Generally speaking, Justice Ministers are informed of high-level judicial investigations. There is currently a judicial investigation into illegal election funding for Nicolas Sarkozy back in 2007. So an investigative judge put a wiretap on his phone. She says, we didn't know anything about it. The press came out earlier this week and said she did. The Prime Minister said, in fact, we were aware as a government for the last number of weeks. She then brandished these documents saying, look, I have the proof here that I wasn't aware, except when you zoom in it, the document is actually the proof that she was aware. So it's pretty amateurish stuff, to be honest, from a communications point of view. And some of the headlines are, as I will show you here, La Gaffe, the absolutely incredible gaffe of Christian Taubira. Over at Le Monde, they were calling it a formidable error in communications. Now, the way they try to explain it in Le Monde, this is Françoise Fresso, an editorial writer for Le Monde. She says, look, François Hollande's government, they are so paranoid about trying to appear completely impartial and when it comes to the judicial system that they actually went too far. So to absolve herself and the government of any suspicion of interfering with an independent judicial inquiry, she actually lied, it appears. Now, she calls it a misunderstanding.
Maybe she was just economical with the truth, James.
Right. But do you remember this one, Mark? I'm sure you will. If you go back to earlier this month in Downing Street, there was an official walking in by the name of Hugh Powell with documents. This is all over Ukraine, whether Europe should go for economic sanctions against Russia. And this document, when zoomed on, shows that the Foreign Office was advising David Cameron against economic sanctions because we want the business of Russians in the City of London. Very embarrassing. It led to lots of headlines. The moral of the story is, conceal your documents if there are zoom lenses around and pieces of information that you'd rather keep concealed from the public.
Who would be a politician, James? Who would
Especially
be a
nowadays,
politician?
not me.
Who would be a celebrity philosopher? That's the next theme we're taking up. The French celebrity philosopher Bernard-Henri Lévy has been very vocal on Ukraine, of course.
That's right. They're calling him the Le Touriste guy in Mediapart. Just to give you a sense, whether it be Ukraine, Libya, Syria, he's for a sort of a strong interventionist approach, I suppose you could say. So either sanctions in the case of Ukraine, or for Libya, he was one of the main people who convinced Nicolas Sarkozy that a military intervention was required. Now, it hasn't worked out so well up to now. But in any case, let's just show you a couple of headlines. A lot of people wondering why he was invited to the Elysee Palace, why he was invited to the Elysee Palace to talk about Syria, if you go back to September 2012, again this past weekend to talk about Ukraine. He's a man with a huge degree of influence. That was a photo of him in Libya, where in fact you can see microphones and everything attached to these combatants' guns. He's a man who knows the media very well and who knows how to work the media very well. In any case, I'll get to the point. There was a funny satirical article today which I thought quite amusing. There's a smog cloud over Paris, Marcus. You know, the French media are all over it. So they're saying here, Bernard-Henri Lévy, he also has a solution or even mediation for this particular problem. He jetted into Paris. He is with the Parisians in their hour of need, and he will not abandon them in their suffering. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, to say the least.
Maybe his hot air may be contributing to the pollution, some people might say.
Right.
Finally, the candidate for mayor here in Paris for the centre-right, Nathalie Kosciusko-Morizet, or NKM as she's known, has been mocked for a bit of a PR error.
That's right. Well, you remember that the UMP candidate, she was mocked for saying that the metro is a place of charm. I'll show you that photo. And the latest gaffe is she was photographed kind of looking up towards the sky on her mobile phone. Now, I think it's a bit unfair. Even that now has become a meme on social media. Recently, she was also photographed with homeless people having a cigarette. She hasn't managed the sort of imagery well around this campaign, I would say.
Indeed. Looks a bit like Madonna there, doesn't she? I don't know who that
Down at the heel.
or who that praises, I'm not sure. James Creedon with Media Watch, as ever, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
An
Mark.
illuminating few moments there. Time for us to take the shortest of breaks, then it's more news. Stay with us, live from Paris.